G'day again guys, and thank you for joining me. Today's drawing was born while I was doing a real-time video over on my Patreon page. I was making some comments about the tiny little butterfly featured in my recent chimpanzee piece. In that drawing, I had to take out a lot of the details in that butterfly due to its tiny little size. I really had to pick and choose which elements I would have to keep and which were less important so that it didn't end up looking like a muddled blob on the page. Well, of course, while I was talking about this, I started to wonder about what I would do if I had all of the space to put in all of the details. I knew that a butterfly's wings are really quite complex when looking up close, but I hadn't really taken the time to really explore that. And of course, once I started thinking about it, I instantly had to put down all of my other project and got straight to work on this piece. Now, looking for a reference photo was a little tricky. I wanted a photo that I could see all of the details on the body and the wings, as well as the flower or stem or whatever it was that the butterfly was going to be sitting on. But I think because of the nature of macro photography, I don't know that much about it, so I could be wrong, but it always seemed to be that there was some element of the photo that was out of focus in each picture that I looked at. Now, usually in this situation, I would probably just seek out two different images and put them together to solve this problem. But since this piece was more of a study piece, where I really wanted to learn more about the subject that I was looking at, little things like how the light was reflecting off the flower onto the butterfly or how the shadows of the butterfly were reacting with the flower, I really didn't want to change too much without really understanding what I was looking at. So I started this piece with a really quick and imperfect layer of pan pastel. I chose a combination of Payne's grey and white since I thought that little bluish tint would be really more interesting to look at against the orange and blue tones to come than just a boring straight black and grey mixture. And then I added down a few splodges of orange and yellows and reds where the flower was to come later. I'm still kicking myself about that decision. Oh, it didn't work out well. But either way, with that base layer down, I was able to move on to the butterfly itself. I had decided to create this piece on a piece of the pastel matte paper, so I would be able to layer the light colours over the darks, which was going to be very handy for drawing in the little veins, or what are they called, of the wings of this butterfly. The pastel matte also has this really slightly irregular texture. It feels really smooth to the touch, but when you start adding pencil, you see how the hills and the valleys of the paper pick up layers of the colour. This was really handy to create the tiny textures of the butterfly wings. I was able to really slightly dust areas of black over the top of the lighter areas, and this would just brush over the hills of the tooth of the paper and just layer the texture so perfectly in a way that I got these tiny little dots of texture that just took no effort to create. As I worked, I was surprised to find that I was using just so many more neutral colours on those wings. Most of the wings were coloured with cream and ivory and terracotta, and I found that I was only using the cadmium orange, that really bright orange, in the absolute brightest areas of colour. I must say that I was so happy with how the butterfly itself turned out overall, but I actually started to really worry about how this flower was going to turn out. This is where the lack of detail in that photo really left me hanging. I kind of thought I might be able to pull it off. I figured it looked like a marigold, so that's where I was aiming for. I just really tried to get down the areas of light where I could see them and the dark colours where I could see them, trying to get everything in the right place. I didn't feel good about that. And the light yellows were just not getting as bright as I wanted because of the pan pastel base that I had put down earlier. I really didn't know what to do at this point, feeling very much like that flower had pretty much ruined the entire drawing. So I figured I had nothing to lose. I decided to put down a layer of the touch-up texture and titanium white mix from brush and pencil over the top of the pan pastel and the pencil. Now, I didn't know if this was going to work. I didn't know how this would respond to the texture of the paper, or how this would sit on top of the pan pastel, or I've never tried it before. But you know, sometimes you just have to experiment to find out. Thankfully, the touch-up texture stuck beautifully, and I was able to layer those lighter yellows on top, which made a huge improvement to the overall look of this flower. But I still hate that damn flower. Looking at it now, it's been a few weeks later. Oh, I hate it less, but still. Oh, yuck, nah. Oh, I hate it. So that's why I created the next piece you're going to see on this channel. Anyway, so here's the final piece. I love it. I hate it. Either way, I still learned so much from this piece. It was so much fun to really study something up close so far. So many different patterns, different colours, the way the wings fold, all of those textures, all of those things that I'd never really paid close attention to before. Seeing all of these little tiny details is something that is one of my absolute most favourite things about creating art. Now, I would just like to take a moment to thank my patrons. I do have a real-time video of how I created the wing colours and textures uploaded for you guys, and I do hope you'll enjoy that. But for now, I do hope you guys have enjoyed this piece. Please leave me a like or a comment, tell me what you think, and if you would like to see some more of my work, then why not hit that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye.